JD here, and as you can see, we are back with another F1 25 video, and today we are going to be commentating over the pre-season race I did at Brazil for the GASR series. This is the final pre-season race that I will be doing before league racing actually starts. There was Australia the weekend after this. Didn't really fancy that because I'm not really a huge fan of Australia, especially the new layout, and also in the UK right now it is about 200 degrees. So coming into this race, I was a bit 50-50 if I was going to do Brazil, because despite enjoying driving the track, it's probably one of my weakest tracks in terms of pace, raw pace, especially the one-lap pace. But I did a little bit of a practice about 40 minutes before this, put myself as 50-50 in the sign-ups, and I thought, you know what, I can maybe learn something here. Let's just throw myself in the deep end and see what we can do. And the setup I'm running here, I've had more time to use it after this race, but this setup was really good. This is one of my best setups so far, especially for the race, which I always focus on. A little bit higher downforce compared to most people, and you'll be seeing that throughout this footage in the race. I'll be discussing the pros and cons of that as well. I have actually gone about 2 tenths faster since I've done this qualifying. You'll be amazed how much faster you will go when you just spend an extra day on the track. Let that muscle memory sink in. And yeah, this up here definitely wasn't perfect. You'll see there was a number of 2 or 3 mistakes here where, again, I think on an ultimate perfect lap, probably another 3 tenths more with this exact setup. So overall with the pace, I wasn't that dissatisfied in the qualifying, but in league racing nowadays, and especially in this league, the pace of people in qualifying is just absolutely nuts. People are just so good at pushing to the limit and running maybe like a lower aero setup where you have to have that driving style where you really flip the steering. You can see with me, I don't do that, which is going to be really good for races and race trim, but for qualifying, that is definitely the not most optimal way to drive. I need to be a little bit more aggressive with the steering if I want to maximise qualifying, and ended up not actually improving on the last lap as well. It's pretty much almost identical.
Yeah. With a bit more practice, I think we could have had another 10th, 2 tenths.
And yeah, despite coming home in P9 in the qualifying, I was actually quite optimistic because I just knew in the driving itself, get used to the track, there would be a lot more time here. So yeah, we have the world record holder of Voicey around here as well. So it's going to be a pretty good benchmark. A lot of these drivers here in the top 10 in the world on TT around Brazil. So we're going to be starting the race on medium tyres, and strategy-wise on this game, you can do 1 stops, you can do 2 stops. I think a lot of that depends on the amount of laps and how far you can push the mediums, as we actually get a pretty good start to this race. So really good here. I always like to start on mediums, even though it's the faster compound. You'd think, oh, why wouldn't you want to save it to the end of the race? You'll see why, because softer compounds in this game compared to like a harder compound, they just go off so quickly. So unless you had like a 5 to 7 lap delta, in my opinion, you don't really want to be starting on like a harder tyre or anything like that. So I like to start on a softer compound, so then I can use the harder compound runners to extend my stint as much as possible, so I'm not losing too much. And then when you go on the harder compound, yes, it might be slower a little bit initially, but round here, after 5 laps, the hards are so much faster. It is crazy. So you'll see a whole range of strategies here, from 1 stops, people using mediums twice. I use the hards twice, and I think when you do a 2-stop strategy, that is the way to go. You want to be using the mediums once, ideally at the start of the race. And you can see here, after 5-7 laps here, my mediums are already going off. So I'm just letting Dylan through. No point fighting. You can see Crims in the lead on the hard tyre. He is already cleared off into distance. So right here now, all I'm trying to do is limit the damage to Dylan, the hard runners, and Crims as much as possible. And you can see he's gone off into distance already. We're behind Voicey, world record holder around here, by the way. And yeah, we're the top 2 on the medium tyres right now, but we are going to be going on the hard tyres for the rest of the race, which is what you want to be on. So instead of extending like I normally do, I thought lap 10 is actually a pretty good amount here, where there's 26 laps of the race to go, about 12 to 13 laps on a hard tyre each. That is going to be more than enough where you can push quite a lot and get a lot of performance out of them as well. So in the past, last season, I probably would have tried to do a little bit of an overcut and just go as long as possible. But I think for me, knowing that in this first stint, it's very likely going to be a 2-stop, and I had 2 hard tyres, I thought there was no point extending. I'm just going to let myself get undercutted way more than they need to. So now this is the time to really push as much as I possibly can. And these hard guys start, so trying to eat into their lead just a little bit, but knowing that both of them have to go on a medium tyre, which again, they're going to be very quick at the start of that stint, but after 3 to 5 laps, those tyres are going to go off very, very quickly, and they can't afford to be staying out forever, otherwise they'll just get undercutted too much as well. So the goal, when you're on a 2-stop strategy, you can see the effect of the dirty air there, it's very, very strong. As you saw by Hungary race, is to get through traffic as quickly and efficiently as you can, because that is really going to make and break your race. So if I had a better turn 1 there, could have maybe actually got this guy Ivan into the turn 4. I don't think he's even pitted yet at the moment, and you can see he's not giving up the position. This is 4 position right now, so he's perfectly entitled to do so, but all this is doing is just costing me so much time. And if I was in his position, I'd be probably trying to sum myself up as well. But yeah, if he's going for a 1-stop strategy, he's already been overtaken. So I think if the laps are under 30 laps, so it's like 29 laps of a race, it does depend on other factors as well, then yes, you can do a 1-stop, and I think 1-stop will be the option because most tracks aren't over 30 laps. So for tracks like Spa, Silverstone, things like that, I think a 1-stop is definitely the best way. Also, it depends on the length of the pit lane. It's not a huge pit delta around here, and again, because we're over about 31 laps, I think in these scenarios 2-stop will be always faster. And you will see there are a couple people who do try the 1-stop in this race, and you'll just see the tyre advantage we have is just absolutely crazy. So you can see coming out the pits here now is Crims, who was the leader of the race. Now he's on a medium tyre, so he's going to be very, very fast. So he's got a 4-lap fresher delta, and he's on a softer compound, so he's going to be very fast for this initial period. But you will see towards the end of the stint, even though we pitted earlier and we're on a harder compound, you'll just see how quickly the crossover period actually is. And if I could have my way, I'd be on hards for every single stint, because hard tyres are definitely the best tyre to be on when you're going to be doing a 50% race. And again, right now you can see Dylan, who was on the hards at the start, pulled a bit of a gap. We got a little bit of an undercut on him, so this is perfect. We can actually use him to kind of ease ourselves up to the cars up ahead. So I probably won't be fighting him too hard here, but again, trying to get past these guys as quick as we can, because a lot of these guys pitted a little bit earlier than me. That's why I always recommend to try and extend your medium stint at the start as much as possible. Obviously you don't want to go too far, because if you're doing a 2-stop you don't need to be making it halfway, but yeah, far enough where when you come out on the hards you're not going to be too far behind, and ideally you can have a little bit of a better delta compared to other people who started on the mediums as well. You can see making some smooth overtakes here, and we've got the guy up ahead. He pitted about 2 to 3 laps earlier than me. Well, I think he pitted on like lap 6 on the mediums at the start, so we're effectively on the same strategy. And you can see, because I pitted 3 to 4 laps later than him, look how much faster we are. And again, I'm running quite a high downforce setup, so if you want access to a setup, click the join button, you'll be able to use it for yourself. There's a big debate between low wings and high wings. That's something I will be saving for a separate video, because I think they both have many pros and they both have many cons as well. But towards the end of stints, if you've just got overall way more downforce than the guys up ahead, even if you're running a low aero setup and it's stable, you'll simply just won't have as much grip compared to someone with the high aero. And pretty much every passing lap, I think that advantage of the low wings kind of decreases lap upon lap. So yeah, up behind this guy, we've got about 3 to 4 laps pressure tyres than him. And Dylan on the mediums, is go past us now, and you can see Crim's up ahead is about 3 or so seconds. So yeah, in those first general laps, and you can see, look at the effect of the dirty air is absolutely ridiculous. The effect of the dirty air, but yeah, we've got to try and stay in the DRS or DIN now, because he's going to be faster than Crim's. He's got a better tyre delta, and if you have 1 to 2 laps better tyre delta or fresher tyres, that makes an absolutely huge difference on this game. So yeah, we're going to be sticking with him, and you can see their tyres are already going off. Look how much we've actually closed in on Crim's. We're staying with Dylan, and how much we pulled away from behind. As we're going through into here, Crim's has completely lost the car, and we almost get collected there. That was flashbacks to Bahrain, that pre-season race. And you can see he pitted later than us, way later than us, and look how quickly the mediums go off. I think that's after 6 laps. So like I said, I would say about after 4 to 5 laps, if you pitted the same lap, your mediums would be going off so quickly compared to if you're on like on a hard tyre. And you could already see Dylan, he pitted a lot later than me. He's already struggling quite a bit, and depending on what tyre allocation you selected, depends on what you're going to be doing here. So what we're going to do is we're going to pit. We're not going to let ourselves get undercutted, because that's something I did way too much last season. I know I've got another hard tyre, and I suspected, and my suspicions actually turned out to be true, Dylan has got a medium tyre. And again, you might think, well, this is great with only 9 laps or 10 laps of the race here to go. But again, we've pitted the same lap now. For the first 5 laps, he will be quite a bit faster than me. But those final 5 laps, that's where I should be a lot faster than what he is. So what we've got to do in these first 5 laps is to try and stay as close as we possibly can. As he comes out the pits, he's going side by side of the car. I was really hoping he wouldn't get past this car here, because then we could get in his DRS and really negate that advantage, but he does get past him. So we've got to get past this car up ahead as quick as we possibly can. And I think, again, this is a car who is pitted about 3 to 4 laps earlier than us, doing the same strategy. And you'll just see how much more speed we have. So we've got to try and get past him going through into here. But there's turn 1. Brazil, that turn 1, I really need to improve. It's one of my worst corners on the game. And you can see we haven't got past. I think he's got the DRS on Dylan as well. So that is a lap behind the car where I could have been going about another half a second quicker this lap. You can see Dylan's caught another car up ahead of him, so he's going to get DRS. So got to overtake him now. We've managed to save up quite a bit of the battery, because this is something we are going to need. So until we get to lap about 31, Dylan is going to be faster. He was running much lower wings than me. I think he was running 15 wing less than me, which again, when the tyres are fresher at start of stints, and especially in qualifying, that will be very beneficial. But the more the tyres wear, the more understeer he is going to get, and the advantage he'll gain on the straights, he'll actually start to lose way more in the corners. You can see going for his turn 1, I think someone mentioned it on my stream, and they're absolutely right. I was missing that apex every single time. I think you're going to see it again. Look how far away we are from that apex. So that's like another 10th and a half that we could have probably added a part of that going to here. But this is the point now, lap 31, where we are actually going to be quite a bit faster in terms of tyre performance compared to Dylan. And you can see Boise has actually tried to do the one-stop strategy. So he was on medium side B at the start. He extended quite a bit, and now we've caught up an entire pit stop. So if he pitted again, he'll be a pit stop behind with 5 laps to go. And yeah, he's about 2.5 plus seconds a lap slower than us. And yeah, that one stop could work around tracks at Hungary. You saw in my previous video, it can potentially work around there, not because it's faster, but because it's so hard to overtake around that track. You could actually get away with the faster cars being held up so much on a lap, they lose 2 or 3 seconds a lap. Round here, it's much easier to overtake, so I would say the one-stop strategy probably isn't going to be your option. You can see in lap 32, this is where we really do start to close in, and you'll see in a straight line, Dylan is an absolute bullet in a straight line, but because we have so much more downforce than him, even though his car's stable, we just have so much more downforce. And you see again on the straights, he pulls away so much, but in the sector 2 and 3, we make up that advantage but more crucially, more as we miss another turn 1 apex by a mile going through there. But yeah, this is the point where I started to get a little bit nervous. So penultimate lap here, his tyres are going off, so we have been closing in. We've both been really pushing quite hard at the battery, but yeah, we need to get in the DRS zone here. So you see the gap is 1.4. Let's see how much time we actually make up going through this midfield section. And I was actually quite impressed how well he was hanging on to his tyres. He was doing really well. So now it's 1.3. Going through this section, this is the section where we're going to be making up so much of the time. His mediums will be absolutely dying at this point, and you can already see we've gained about 3/10 just this middle sector. Going into the last 2 corners, we have to be in this DRS zone. You can see we're actually quite low on the battery as well, so getting a really good traction coming off here. And yeah, we are, no, I was going to say under a second, now it's gone back up 1 seconds to go for this last corner. Have to absolutely nail this, and we actually do it very, very well. All we need to do is get within this DRS zone, and you can see, yes, we have got within that DRS zone. Both of us are very, very low on the battery, and here we go. Final lap of the race. I think looking back on this, you can see turn 1, we actually do hit the apex this time. I think, yeah, we probably could have been a little bit faster in the raw pace just through the driving, especially through turn 1. I think we're losing a good 10th and a half going through there, which all adds up. If you do that for 30 laps, it's going to be like about 3 seconds if you did that. And you can see nice and close now, so we're both going to be saving the battery. And yes, although he's got really good straight line speed, we are going to have so much better traction as well. So saving the battery, no point overtaking. If I could overtake him here, that would be perfect. But all we need to do now is try and save this battery as much as we possibly can. And you can see his tyres are absolutely dying. You can see how much more traction. Look how much he's sliding around, struggling so much with the grip. It's quite impressed. But going into this last corner, he brakes super, super early. We'll make a little bit of contact with him going through this last corner. And yeah, we'll discuss that a little bit more after the race, using the ERS. And yes, he's got a straight line speed advantage, but because of the traction and he's run out of battery as well, going towards the line, what are we going to do? We managed to just about take the win in the final pre-season race for me of the season. And yeah, just a bit of comment on that last corner. We discussed it after the race, and we had the interviews, and no, very fairly, and no respect to him for saying this, he said that was his error, that he was just braking way too early because his tyres were going off. And for me, I think that was a 50-50 thing. If that was a real league race, I wouldn't have been upset if he reported me for that. I probably would have got a penalty, if I'm being completely honest. But I also think, and fair play for him to admitting it, and I think because it's a pre-season race, it's a lot easier to do it in a pre-season race than in a real league race where a lot more is on the line. But I think that was just a combination. I had so much better tyres than him, so much more grip. He had so much less grip, and we kind of just met in the middle. So he broke super early, and I was braking super late to try and get as close to him as possible in the exit. So yeah, you could say a racing instance, but honestly, I actually wouldn't have blamed him if he reported me for that in an actual stewards thing, and then it would have been up to them. But overall, managing to take the win, and I was very happy that the setup performed very well. And considering the high downforce, I think in the qualifying, we could have got into that top 5 in the qualifying. That's something I definitely need to aim for when it comes to this league racing season. If I can get in the top 5 consistently, I know my race pace is good. And this time, we actually didn't make mistakes tactical-wise. We actually pretty much nailed everything in terms of the strategy. And yeah, a pretty good end to the practice before the real season starts, which should be towards the end of this month. So I will definitely keep you updated on that. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Hopefully you learned something as well. And again, click the join button if you would like to try the setup I was using here today. And I've uploaded my setups for every single track. If you wish to speak to me directly as well, become a YouTube member, click the join. You can ask me any questions you like, and you can send me any footage you like, and I will give you feedback on that. So thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a great weekend, and I will catch you very, very soon. Peace.